Seth Rollins may have some very unfortunate news coming his way, so we'll see what's new there. We'll also check out what's new with Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and much more. Starting things off with a very scary and unfortunate injury for the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. Seth has been the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion ever since first winning the title back in May 2023. And has been going on strong ever since as WWE's main full-time world champion. Of course, the company also has Roman Reigns as its other world champion, but due to Roman's limited schedule, Seth really prided himself on being the workhorse world champion that doesn't miss a single live event or television show. But the latest heartbreaking news for Seth Rollins is that he might have just suffered a devastating knee injury. Shortly after his match with Jinder Mahal had concluded, rumors were circulating that Seth Rollins suffered some sort of lower leg injury during the match. But everything was pretty tightly sealed on this situation immediately after Raw. But fast forward a few days later and reports started to go around about what happened to Seth. The word was that Seth Rollins had suffered a torn MCL and partially torn meniscus. There was no mention of any damage to the ACL in the report, but the MCL and meniscus suffered a lot of damage from this injury, which is devastating for anyone that suffers this injury. But it's even more concerning for Seth Rollins, because he had issues with his knee before and had to surgically repair an ACL back in 2015. So his knees have already been through serious injuries and procedures in years past. So to hear there's torn ligaments in those surgically repaired knees has fans assuming the worst. There's no word on the intensity of Seth's knee injury. Obviously, everyone's knee injuries are different for everyone. Some can be grade 1 that takes a few weeks to recover, while others may be on the more intense grade that does require surgery and several months to recover. Those crucial details of Seth's injury aren't out yet. But assuming it's the worst grade for a torn MCL, that average recovery time is just around a few months. And if it's anything past a few months, WrestleMania season is obviously in jeopardy. So it's a tricky situation that can be handled in many different ways by WWE, all depending on the severity of the injury. The report from Fightful says that even with surgery, Seth could be ready to go in just around possibly 6 weeks, putting him right around a March return, with WrestleMania only being a few short weeks away at that point. So obviously this entire situation could just be a huge gut punch to WWE's road to WrestleMania plans with Seth Rollins. You're talking about losing a world champion for a majority of the road to WrestleMania. That definitely stings. So fans are wondering how this could affect the plans from WWE, and if anything could be switched around because of the injury. WWE could very well end up letting Seth Rollins hold on to the title if he's really going to be just a few short weeks away. But if it's on the longer side of things, will the title be taken away, and what does that mean for the WrestleMania plans? A lot of fans are looking at Damian Priest as maybe a solid backup plan. Reports have been claiming for days now that Damian Priest's cash-in was coming up before Seth went down. So what if they decided to go through with that cash-in and let Damian Priest cash in to become the new World Heavyweight Champion now that we're in a tricky situation? And if Seth is able to get back long before WrestleMania, maybe he gets a rematch, gets the title back, and things get back on track for Rollins versus Punk. That definitely seems like a possibility. Or with Elimination Chamber being around the corner, does WWE have the vacated world title up for grabs at the event? If Seth is out for the long run and WWE is able to get The Rock to compete at WrestleMania 40 against Roman Reigns, fans have even discussed the possibility of having CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes main event night 1 of WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight title. If Seth isn't available, Cody versus Punk is a very nice backup plan that has a lot of high stakes to it. They're both trying to finish their story and they're both sharing very similar goals. CM Punk's lifelong dream was to main event WrestleMania. He didn't get to do it in his first run with WWE, but it looks like he has a very strong chance of making that dream a reality here in 2024, so he knows he's close to it. Same sort of idea with Cody Rhodes. Cody had said himself that finishing the story just has to be done with Roman Reigns, but if he could still main event WrestleMania and win a world title over CM Punk, it sounds like that would be a pretty big accomplishment for him. So Seth's injury will be very important to keep an eye on. The January 22nd edition of Raw should give us a very clear view on how WWE plans on handling this injury and how it could shake things up, since Seth will reportedly address the WWE Universe on that Raw. Speaking of CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes, and even before the Seth injury took place, WWE already had a Cody versus Punk face-to-face booked for the January 22nd edition of Raw. Punk and Cody shared the screen once a few weeks ago, where they reconnected after so many years, and acknowledged that they were both on very similar paths. They both wanted to win the Royal Rumble match and finish their stories at WrestleMania. They closed that backstage conversation with each other in a very friendly way, but during some recent live events, CM Punk did take a few subliminal shots at Cody Rhodes, with Punk saying that he wasn't finishing his story at WrestleMania 40. He is actually just beginning his story at that event. So Punk obviously putting a spin there to Cody Rhodes' catchphrase of saying that winning at WrestleMania would be finishing the story. Punk argues it's only the beginning of his story if he does that himself. And now they're set to meet in the ring for this face-to-face on January 22nd. Now, before the Seth injury took place, maybe this face-to-face was meant for both men to make their case for why they will outlast the other during the Royal Rumble match. But with all the plans possibly now changing due to the injury, maybe the direction of this promo could change as well. Maybe this face-to-face between Punk and Cody is even more important now, considering that the world champion is hurt. So it's clear that WWE was using this face-to-face between Punk and Cody to set up a feud that would maybe take place deeper into the year. But again, with Seth going down, that could just lead to so many twists and turns for everyone's plans on Raw. Maybe WWE decides to move up the date of the Punk and Cody feud due to that injury. So it's just all important things to monitor, and hopefully things become more clear once WWE addresses the Seth injury. Randy Orton recently took part in a new interview with WWE's The Bump, and he spoke about his Survivor Series return. Orton said that it was a great return, but he said it took the wind out of his sails when WWE announced his return a week prior. It sounds like Randy Orton wanted a return completely similar to CM Punk's, maybe a few Easter eggs and references in the weeks leading up, but still have his return be unexpected and an unannounced surprise. And that's what a lot of fans were hoping for as well. Everyone loves a good old-fashioned surprise return. So a lot of fans were feeling just like Orton felt when his return was strangely announced on Raw a whole week in advance. But either way, Randy Orton is back in the world title picture, and reports claim that WWE still plans to do Orton versus Reigns one-on-one deeper into the future as well. So still a lot to look forward to there for when it comes to Randy Orton. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.